Welcome to Ignite Day 2. I hope you enjoyed the video. So, real life. So, I think this is giving a small idea how the session is going to be. Of course, anybody knows me from before, previous years? Now I'm at Microsoft, so I'm not going to do the crazy stuff anymore. That's why we have Raymond on stage. So now I move to the blue side, which is the good side. Okay? So for the new ones, just warning, whatever you see here, it's just for demonstration purposes. And please do not do that in environments without permissions. Otherwise, you're going to put yourself in trouble, and I'm going to pretend, hey, there's a video recording. I didn't do anything. I didn't say anything. Who has Twitter? If you tweet about the session, we have lots of presents to give away. So go ahead and tweet. Everybody who tweets will get something out of the session. And some presents. Raymond, who are you?
Hi, I'm Raymond Corvalius. I'm an architect from the Netherlands. And I have joined Erdal for the past few years. Even though I'm not on the program as his co-presenter, I will be here today and I will take care of the dark side of the presentation.
And my name is Erdal. Probably you noticed a very weird accent. But promise, it's not my fault. Look, Turkish parents, born in Germany. I was living in Australia for 15 years. Last 1.5 year I'm in Dubai. So this is what's coming out. I'm sorry. But besides that, if you can understand my accent, which means you will learn a little bit encryption, you will listen a bit more and understand the topic hopefully a bit better. I will try to speak American. So if not, please forgive me up front. So this is about me. I'm a cybersecurity architect at Microsoft. My job is to work with you guys for a better and safer environment. All right, cybercrime. I'm pretty sure you all remember. Years ago, hacking was a hobby. People used to hack for fun. But today, things have changed. Cybercrime is a big business. And I'm pretty sure you notice there in the news that nearly every single day there is an incident. Because money is involved, power is involved, and as a result, the industry is booming. And I'm pretty sure you saw the Gartner, the Verizon report, where it says that in 5 years, there's going to be huge demand on security professionals. Anyway, back to the topic. What happened last year? I mean, if you know me, for the guys that don't, I always like to talk about history. Why? If you don't know your past, you will not see the future. So last year, there are many companies being compromised. I'm pretty sure, even this year, right? But do you know what happened yesterday? Can I see the Americans here? Anybody watch the debate? There even both of the presidential candidates, they were talking about cybersecurity. So it's not just us anymore. It is everybody and anybody. Why? Because that's what I was trying to tell you. It's getting more and more serious. So, just to give you some insights, last year, we had more than 100,000 incidents. Only around 2,300 of them were analyzed, and this is in 82 countries. Like, I'm pretty sure you saw the slides in the keynote. The security numbers rising up crazy. I can't even pronounce the number. Trillions and millions and billions, people are investing more and more and more into security. But when I tell 100,000 numbers, 100,000 incidents, which was reported, by the way, some people say, come on, Erdal, don't make it up. I brought this up this morning, actually. This is from VR Social. And if you look, there is 7.3 billion people in the world. Around 46% of the 7.3 billion people is using internet, which is 3.4 billion people using the internet. Do you see the opportunity there? You saw the video, social engineering, how people can tell easily their passwords. So, why I'm telling you this? There are many different cybersecurity categories, and if you look around, we can just categorize them in few of them. I'm not going to go through each and all of them, but what you see in the news is either crimeware or espionage, if not DOS attack, passwords. That's what we're going to concentrate because, hey, this is a Windows 10 session, and hey, I wanted to show you now as Microsoft what we have invested to make things better, to keep you more safe. All right, here's the first demo. I want to do a live demo. Instead of me showing fancy thing, I need some volunteers as usual to give their email addresses. Don't forget, this session is being recorded. If you don't want your email to be recorded, don't be volunteer. Any volunteers? You want to type? Can I get a volunteer, please? Nobody? Come on. Can you please come here and quick. Type your own email address. He's going to do the demo. You know, I'm lazy. Do you mind typing your own email address here? This, over here. All right.
Thank you, Dario.
Search. Good news. You are safe. Anybody else? Like Raymond, do you mind putting your email address? He's safe. I'm going to tell what I'm doing now in a second, but as usual, live demo, it has to fail, you know. All right, I done this yesterday with Raymond. Seriously. Oh, look at this. Raymond's username, password, email address has been already captured. Let's see in which website. Dropbox and Last.fm. So this is a website which is made by Australian MVP. Troy Hunt, a good friend of mine. All what you have to do is go to this website. You know, you can get it through the slides, and you will see if you, before Microsoft purchased LinkedIn, that was before, okay? If your password has been stolen or anybody uses, Tinder uses, I don't see any hands, good. You know, it's a good way to see, you know, you were laughing in the beginning. For the guys who's watching this video, before the session, I had a YouTube video, which was a social engineering video, where people telling their passwords. You already told your passwords to some of these websites. Because they were compromised, you are compromised. And if you didn't change your password yet, you're still in danger. So, what are you doing right after the session? Changing your password. Back to slides.
Yeah, I'm back.
Do you get it?
I'm back.
You can see also, you know, this is, instead of putting the news, I just put all these websites for you here. You can also go and see what domains were compromised. Okay, that's Troy Hunt. He gets the credit for that. Please make sure you visit his website. A very smart MVP, Microsoft Most Valuable Professional, and he is doing really great stuff. So go ahead and check his blog. So, Windows 7, you all like it, right? I remember when Windows XP came out, we had people, oh, we love Windows 98, we don't want to move to Windows XP. Then Windows 7 came out. I don't know what happened in between XP and Windows 7. I really don't know what happened. With Windows 7, Microsoft, we made a huge security investment, but it was not addressing everything. We had Smart Screen, we had BitLocker, and that's it. But when we look into Windows 10, if you watched already the keynote, everything for us is protect, detect, and response. And in this matter, we invested so much into security. Again, I'm not going to talk, or we are not going to talk about all of this today. But this is just to show you that Windows 10 is the most secure operating system yet. We have UEFI boot, we have device guard, we have Windows Hello, we have information protection, Defender APT, lots of investments coming through. All right, Raymond, I told the Microsoft story. Can you please tell, as an independent expert, what you think about Windows 10? As an MVP and independent expert,
Well,
please.
as a Windows MVP, I was highly involved in what's going on with Windows 10. And what you see in Windows 10 is that it's constantly improving. What you've seen over the past year is we've seen like 3 releases of Windows 10 happening with lots of new security features in each new version coming out. We've seen the introduction of Credential Guard with the latest release in July. We've seen our presentation yesterday, the keynote. We've seen that there are new features coming up, new security features coming up next year. So Windows 10 is really moving very fast into a more secure operating system. That's what I see.
All right. Now, most of you know I'm coming from a penetration testing side. I wrote many books, completing my PhD, 2 masters, but one of the things which I noticed a lot is most of the attacks, there are still, okay, English, most of the attacks are still in the client side. Why? Because you watch the video, it's much easier to fool an end user than you. I mean, I see Brian here, very smart IT professional. He wrote, again, many books. Instead of me dealing with him, I prefer that lady who was on this video, who was giving the password, or that gentleman, his password was Tel Aviv, So, there is a lack of effective defense, where people, they assume they are secure. They think they are up to date. Again, we are all IT professionals here. I want to see hands. Please be honest. Who is up to date with the Windows updates, for example? 50% of the room. What does this mean? It's an attack vector. If you don't patch your computer, if you don't patch your operating system, could be anything and everything, then you are vulnerable. Then there is really not much what you, as IT administrator, or me as security professional, can do. Defense in depth.
Yeah, Windows 10 is actually, the current state of Windows 10 is what you really see is happening is defense in depth. You see all those layers that we've seen for years that have to be protected. Windows 10 is now actually doing this. We've seen the introduction of Windows Information Protection, which actually is implementation of defense on the data layer. We're now protecting data, actually the data. We're also protecting applications. We've seen yesterday, Application Guard is part of application protection and defense. We already have Device Guard, which also is application protection and defense. We've seen a lot of stuff happening on the host, stuff like BitLocker. All those things like Secure Boot, it's all happening on the host, and it's securing each and every layer of Windows 10. It goes down to the physical layer where we've seen the introduction of lots of new technologies that have to be implemented by Intel, for instance, who have added extra security features to their CPUs that are now used by Windows to make Windows 10 more secure, even more secure than it already was without those features.
So, one important thing. We all know the least privileges is the best privileges. But I read a case study, which I think for the last few years I'm putting the slides again and again in most of my sessions, because I realized in the field, now as Microsoft employee, or before as an independent expert or working to vulnerability research companies, that many people, they still combine, they use still admin privileges. And did you know that by just using your least privileges principle, you could just mitigate most of the attacks which is happening today? So if you don't have the right power, if you don't have admin rights, for example, in Microsoft Edge, then you'll be automatically more secure than for someone who has given that credential to the browser.
So let's raise some hands. Who's still logging on with his local administrator account? Okay, that's very good. I see very little hands. So who thinks that user account control is a good protection for local administrators? Well, that's good to see that nobody raises their hand. At least nobody dares to raise their hand. Well, user account control, it was introduced with Windows Vista, probably the most hated feature by that time. And the clear message from Microsoft by then was, this is not a security boundary. And it's still there in Windows 10, and it's still not a security boundary. It's still very easy to circumvent user account control and get actually the full privileged user account available for your processes. How easy it is? Well, I have a very short demo to show you how easy it is. Usually, if you want to have a full privilege account logged on as an admin, this is what you get, user account control. And then the next process will be running as an administrator. I can show you it like this. Who am I? And what you see here is the process with all the privileges. And actually it says here it's the built-in administrator group with everything on it. Now, how easy is it to get one of those processes without being requested for it by user account control? Well, it's very, very easy. For instance, well, there's many tricks here, but this is one of them. If you start a task scheduler is one of those programs that can start without asking for privileges. Just as easy as this. It doesn't ask me anything. Then I say, well, let's create a task. And let me browse for some action. And here I click open. And here I have full admin access, and I didn't get a user account control. This is Windows 10 latest edition, latest version, fully patched, everything on it. User account control is still no security boundary.
So, pass the hash. I don't want to see hands. Who does not know pass the hash? I don't want to see hands, please. If you still don't know, then you are in a bit more danger than everybody else, because it's now, I mean, if you're coming to this kind of conferences or if you're watching it, you know that it's really active these days. So, very quickly, pass the hash is basically stealing credentials from the memory without knowing the passwords. Again, if you don't know what it is, you can go to microsoftvirtualacademy.com. Me and Raymond and me and Milad, me and Hassan, we've done many virtual academy courses totally free. microsoftvirtualacademy.com. Or go to my blog, you will see lots of information there. How you can steal or how can you dump the hashes from the memory with using some tools. Or you can just use Bing, Bingle, you know, Google Bing, up to you. So what is it? Basically, now, Brian, you are an IT professional. Sir, you are a driver, I guess. Ma'am, you are a mom. You are a driver. You want to get married with your Tinder website, you know, what's it do? So we all have multiple identities. Yes, at work, like Brian, sometimes he's writing a book, right? While he's browsing the internet, while his kid is crying, and in the meantime, he's receiving an email. We all get that moment where we click. Let's be honest, who never did get a virus infection before? We all did, right? And doesn't matter how smart we are, we fall into these tricks. We are human. And you know who I blame for that? It's all Adam and Eve's fault. Why? Let me tell you. Remember I said I love history? Adam and Eve. Hey, they went to heaven. They had everything what they want. Heaven. I mean, we all live, if you believe in a religion, we all live, we all do good stuff to go on the other side to heaven. These guys were in the heaven. They had everything but that apple tree. Right? God said, you can do whatever you like, but don't touch that apple tree. I think we all know the history, what happened. And so if something is not allowed, then probably we will do it. So back to the topic. We should not use admin privileges. Why? Because Brian, the administrator on his desktop, might click on an email which can compromise where pass the hash. By the way, I get lots of questions in the field. Hey, pass the hash, this is Microsoft's fault. No, it's not. It's not just used, I mean, hashes are not just used, most of the operating system today, I don't want to give names, I mean, they're on a few anyway. The hackers reading basically the LSA secrets, and they use the secrets to move. How it happens here? So you are the person, you are on your desktop, you don't have any admin privileges, or you do have admin privileges. You receive an email, somehow you click on it, or you go to a compromised website. Then, as soon as you click or you download that exploit, your credentials will be found by the hacker, which will give them access all the way to your network and maybe steal your domain credentials. In this case, they will own your network. So, before, we used to say, it was in one of our blogs, Microsoft blogs, and the recommendation for pass the hash was not to get hacked. It's not a joke, it's serious. It's still, I think, in the blog, right?
I think so, yes. I haven't looked it up.
So we should not log in with evaluated accounts. We should restrict connectivity. We should have a forced reboot after logging on an elevated account. So basically, we should protect the account as much as we can. But now, we know this is not the story. Raymond, just for the people, they don't know pass the hash. Can you quickly show us what it is and how it works?
Well, the nice thing is I can still demo pass the hash on Windows 10. As I told you, this is Windows 10, 1607, latest build, latest patches, everything on it. I am currently logged on to my system being the local administrator. And I have a command prompt where I will start Mimikatz. Let's start Mimikatz. Get the privileges. And let's see what's the outcome of this. It will show me the hashes of every logged on user to this system, and one of the users on this system happens to be the domain admin. Here is the secret, the NTLM secret of the domain admin. So currently I am the local admin. I cannot do anything in a domain where this system is a member of. But as soon as I start using this, let's see if I can start using this.
We practiced it. It should work.
Yeah, it does work. Let me see if I can paste it. Doesn't work with paste for me. Okay, then I'll move back to the NTLM hash. NTLM hash of the domain admin, who is, let's see where he is. There is the domain admin. Here is the NTLM hash. This is what I need to do stuff like this. Pass the hash / user domain admin / domain /NTLM. I think it was something like this, almost. And here I have.
Who am I?
Who am I? Well, it won't tell me, but I can do something like this.
Boom.
I find out that I have now full access to the domain. And I can start creating users and everything. I used to be the local admin, and now I am the domain admin. It's just as easy as this. So, as soon as you start providing users with local admin rights, if there is a domain admin on that same system, the domain admin is no longer yours. That's actually what happens with pass the hash.
I think it's clear, it's an old tactic, but hey, I said Windows 10 is the most secure operating system. Hold on, it still works. Of course, you have to do some stuff to make it more secure. We introduced Credential Guard. We introduced what is Credential Guard, which is it's a virtualization based security, which is, basically helping you. That's your secure device hardware. You got your Windows kernel. You got your Windows platform services. It runs in a VM, and it secures the LSAA with a guard. Basically, it has a secure communications to secure your domain credentials.
So what you do with Credential Guard is using Virtualization Based Security with a separate VM. And in this separate VM, this is where you keep your domain credentials. So what I'm going to show now is how can you implement this? Well, first of all, you must have Windows 10 Enterprise Edition. Second, you must use UEFI and Secure Boot. And if you have that in place, you can check if your hardware is ready to use Credential Guard by using MSInfo32. And here in the lower part of the information, it will tell you if Device Guard, which is actually the mother of Credential Guard, is available. So now it is available on my system, and all I have to do is turn it on. Let's see how I can turn it on. This is actually two steps. First of all, you must have a hypervisor enabled, so Hyper-V must be enabled on your system. Like this. Turn Windows features on.
Hyper-V.
Hyper-V. And make sure that the Hyper-V platform is enabled. Now, while it's taking care of this, so Hyper-V is enabled. I have to take care of a group policy. So there is a local group policy that you can find here under Administrative Settings System, Device Guard, and here it says turn on Virtualization Based Security. And if you enable this one, there's a couple of options you can select. For instance, how you will use Secure Boot, with or without DMA protection. DMA protection is something that can be provided by the CPU. It's also known as IOMMU, I think. Yeah. Yes, the IO Memory Management Unit. And you can enable virtualization-based security for code integrity, which we will discuss later. And you can enable the credential guard configuration. So let's do just Secure Boot and enable credential guard configuration. I'll do it without the lock. Enable this one and restart the system. So while the system is taking care of implementing the hypervisor, which is possible since Windows 10 that you can run a hypervisor on a VM. This couldn't be done before. I will now get back a VM with the hypervisor enabled and with Credential Guard enabled. And if I now log on as the local administrator, let's see what Mimikatz can then do for us. There's a little bit more happening. Okay.
Here we are.
One more restart. Yes. There it is. Let's log on as the local administrator. First of all, we can check with MSInfo32 if this really worked. So let's check here what the current status is of Credential Guard.
Should be enabled.
As you can see here, Device Guard virtualization has been enabled, it's running, and Credential Guard is available. So now the domain credentials are in a separate process named Lsaiso, and Lsaiso is no longer in Windows, it's in a separate virtual machine. And the result of that is that if I now try to use Mimicots, let's open my admin prompt. Go to Mimicots.
So same demo, same machine. The only difference is we have device guard enabled.
Almost. So if we now look here, we still get a lot of results from Mimicots, but if we now start looking for the domain administrator who is still logged on this system, let's move a little bit lower here. Windows 10 client, other Windows 10 client, more Windows 10 client, Windows 10 client, whoa, he's not here. Well, at least I'm still looking for the right user.
There it is.
But what you see happening to all those domain credentials is something like this. Oh. LSA isolated data, and the NTLM hash is just no longer available. It's not here. It's another VM, and being Mimicots with this driver loaded in the kernel, it's no longer capable of getting access to those secrets. So you're just not able to steal the credentials when logged on. You saw it? I didn't see it. Probably I'm looking over it. Okay.
So, what else? We saw how you can eliminate some of the attacks. So, let's talk about apps. I remember reading Brian's book, who used to talk about, in Windows XP we had some stuff like software hash protection. In Windows Vista we had some other stuff introduced to protect the app. Then we had the app locker. But today's biggest challenge are still the apps. So when people run untrusted apps, you are still in danger. So what Windows is, what we're doing here to help you to protect yourself more, we basically help you to define the apps to be trusted or not. And we only allow the trusted apps to run in your at least high-risk workstations where you can eliminate the risk right from up front. What you do is, like if you're not running Windows Phone or Windows Desktop, the apps will be secured for you. You will select the trusted apps to make them more secure via device guard. So you can lock down only the apps that you trust. We call it the UMCI, which is the user mode integrity model, which will stop untrusted apps to work. So it's basically you're locking the machines down, and you are not stopping the business via just saying, okay, this app can run or not. You're giving more capability also against vulnerabilities. So the catalog files, Raymond.
Yeah. The idea of device guard is that every application has been signed. But we all know from practice that lots of applications have not been signed. Especially line of business applications have not been signed. And getting them signed may be kind of a hassle. So what Microsoft did is create a catalog file. And actually what a catalog file really is, it's a file that contains all the hashes of all the applications that you trust. And it's signed by your company, so all you have to sign is the catalog file. And as soon as there is a catalog file, you can trust other applications that are not signed by default, not signed by the developer. So if you have that in place, and you have enabled virtualization based security, actually the same thing as that I just showed for Credential Guard, you have this special VM that has the Lsaiso. There is another process running in that special VM that is running the code integrity service. And the code integrity service takes care of checking that all the applications that you have whitelisted, that you have assigned to trust, that those can be started. and everything else cannot be started. Or at least it will be audited if you are running a virtualization based security with device guard. This is the way it looks, so it's actually another trustlet, that's what they call it, in the separate VM where device guard, in this case, is taken care of, that only trusted applications are started, and if it's not trusted, that it's at least audited and that you can find it back in the event log. This whole device guard stuff and the credential guard always goes together with UEFI and Secure Boot. There is no credential guard and no device guard without Secure Boot. So this is a requirement. So, taking it all back, we have device guard, which is taken care of that we only can start trusted applications and trusted drivers. It has actually two modes. It has kernel mode integrity, it has user mode integrity. Kernel mode integrity is actually what we already had in 64-bit Windows since Vista. It requires device drivers and everything running in the kernel to be signed. If it's not signed, it cannot start. And it's kernel mode during boot. I was under the impression at first that it was kernel mode for everything. No, it's only kernel mode during boot. And everything that you start after boot time, that's user mode code integrity. Even if it's doing something with the kernel, it's user mode code integrity. And user mode code integrity is like what you have on all those mobile devices. You can only start those applications that you trust, and everything else will be blocked. The thing with device guard is also that you have to scan your system before you implement it, and you have to do thoroughly testing before you enforce that only those signed applications can start. Because if you enable enforcement too soon, you will have a system that cannot boot, and probably you cannot go back to where you were before, and you're stuck, and you have to start all over again. Something else that you have to think of with device guard is that if you have device guard in enforcement mode, you have a system that's locked down completely. There is nothing that you can start that is not already trusted. So if you have an issue on this system and you want to go start troubleshooting, you better have trusted troubleshooting tools, because your untrusted troubleshooting tools cannot start on this system. Might be an issue if you haven't thought about it before. So, device guard for application whitelisting, if you do not enforce, it might be very useful as well, because in audit mode with device guard, you get an overview of every application that you are still not trusting in your event logs. And you can gather that information to get more insight in what is running in your company that you do not trust, and maybe you don't want to trust, and that you know who is running what, so that you can take care of that. And then this virtual machine, all those virtual machines, all those systems will run those processes in a separate virtual machine, which will create the extra security boundary, and you must be using UEFI BIOSes and lock down your systems.
So, me again, malwares. We know that there is hundreds and thousands of malwares produced every year. So people still trying to fool you with viruses. We all believe antivirus, I'm going to talk about Windows Defender, is a good solution. Yes, but look, seriously, sometimes I go to customers, I don't want to mention it, especially I have some good customers in the room as well, all the way from Man. They're doing the good practice there. But when I go to customers, I notice seriously, no joke, I go there and I say, hey, what do you do to secure yourself? I receive this answer so many times. They say, hey, we are using antivirus. I said, yeah, good, and? Yeah, we're using antivirus. I'm like, and? We're using antivirus. They believe it's everything and anything. Yes, maybe in 1995, it was the only solution, but today things has changed. And if you don't believe me, listen to the Symantec CEO. He was saying that, hey, actually not CEO, the senior vice president, sorry. He said, he admitted that today, antiviruses only catch 45% of the attacks. Why? Let me tell you. I mean, if you're a malware author, of course you're going to test your malware before you send it to the wild. When you send it to the wild, let's say I infected you, sir, okay? First of all, you have to be suspicious of that file, which this file should make itself visible to you. Then you have to submit it to your antivirus vendor. Then they have to reverse engineer it. Then they have to update their signature database. Then they have to push through, you have to download it, scan your computer. This is lots of time. So that's why antivirus is not the best solution anymore. Saying that, hey, we have Windows Defender, which is free. I know most of you are saying, hey, Erdal, you are not in the top 5 virus detection list sometimes, but what I see, and I'm telling you this as an independent security advisor, okay? Yes, I worked for Microsoft for the last 8-9 months now, but Defender is getting better and better. One of them is, for example, block at first sight. Basically, Raymond, what happened yesterday? Can you please tell? We were doing a demo, not the one with Mark.
No, I was preparing the demo, and my demo system was offline, so it had no internet access. And I am running a couple of sys internal tools, and those are downloaded from the internet. And each time I try to start one of those downloaded tools, which are from sys internals, I got a message from Smart Screen saying, well, Smart Screen is unable to check if this is a valid executable that I'm trying to start. Are you sure you want to start this? So actually what Windows is telling you now, this is something that I cannot check for you beforehand, so I don't trust it.
By default, we don't trust it right in the beginning. It was the other way around. It was either blacklist. If it's in blacklist, it's not trusted. Otherwise, everything's trusted. I believe this is something good. And to be honest, it just happened yesterday. You know, he lives in Netherlands. I live in Emirates Airline C32A. It's really hard to catch up, but yesterday we were doing demo reversal, and it just happened. I said, hey, this is a good story and real story. So Defender is getting better. And besides that, it's free. You know, I believe it's still better than nothing. So, Raymond, I think we should talk a little bit about, I'm not going to do any Defender demo. I guess you will be happy with that. Let's do some OS mitigations.
Yeah. So, what Microsoft did with Windows 8 was, actually it was kind of revolutionary and nobody recognized it so, but nobody started using it. But we got metro applications, later modern applications, and nowadays universal applications. And what's nice about those universal applications, those are actually containerized applications. Those are running at the low integrity level. Those are running with a separate ACL. So those applications, they are unable to do anything outside of their boundary by default. And that was a nice thing about Windows 8, but unfortunately, hardly anybody started using it. So we have more secure applications available since Windows 8. But those applications are still there in Windows 10, and hopefully this will take off. Now, universal applications used to be all containerized, but that was until quite lately we got the desktop bridge. The desktop bridge is a way to make our Win32 desktop applications universal applications. And those universal applications, well, you can easily install them without having the local admin privileges, but those applications are not containerized. They are trusted probably because they are provided by the Microsoft Store, the Windows Store. But those are not quite as trusted as the universal apps that we've known before. Those are the other applications, they required helper processes to do stuff like accessing your local file system. When you're running a bridged application, it does it by itself. It's just not containerized anymore. Then there's other mitigations in Windows and outside of Windows. Outside of Windows we had EMET. Let's raise some hands. Who implemented EMET? I see a couple of hands.
It's also free.
It's for free, and it's a way to harden legacy applications by using mitigations that are already there in the operating system, but that are not always leveraged by the developer that developed your application. Stuff like DEP, execution prevention, or ASLR for randomizing where your process runs in memory. Those are not always used by the developer. While they can really help you to make the program that was developed less vulnerable for being misused by exploits. EMET also had something in there for SSL certificate trusts. When all of a sudden one of the CA starts handing out a certificate for instance, Google, while Google always gets certificates from somewhere else, with EMET you can recognize that and decide not to trust those certificates, even those you did trust the CA that hands out the certificates. It utilizes the compatibility framework, and what you actually see happening now in Windows 10 is that Windows 10 1607, it has part of what EMET has built in. It's called process mitigation. And with process mitigation in Windows 10 1607, you are able to enable those process mitigations that you had in EMET from the operating system. Just by using group policies, you can tell, well, this application should have ASLR enabled. Just by using the operating system, and you no longer need EMET for that. Well, I have a demo for that, and while I was preparing the demo, I found out that I could enable this ASLR, and to check that, I can use this tool from Mark Kozinovich's internal tool, Process Explorer. And for some reason, Process Explorer was showing something different than I expected. And yesterday I was working with Erdal in the speaker room.
In the speaker room, he came to me, Erdal. Now I'm Mark's afraid. Why is this not working? I'm like, good question. I looked at the back, I saw Mark Kozinovic, I said, why are you not asking him? You know, ask him. Anyway, tell the story.
So I went to Mark and I said, Mark, can you explain why I see this in Process Explorer? And he looked at it and he said, well, it's a bug.
You found a bug.
You found a bug. Apparently I found a bug in Process Explorer. And the next thing that Mark does, and I still really appreciate him for that, is that he started fixing the bug. While I was standing there, he fired up Visual Studio, started looking in the code, found where the bug actually is, really within a minute.
Within 2 minutes, we had a custom version of sysinternals with the fixed bug, you know.
So now I have a custom version of Process Explorer running on my system, just with the version that actually tells the truth about enabling ASLR with process mitigation.
So let's show what happened.
Well, first of all, this is a group policy, and the group policy is, well, not so simple to configure. If you look at it, it says, well, process mitigation options, and then you have two things that you can fill in. The value name, which is the process that you are going to protect, and a value. And as you can see from the screenshot here, the value consists of a bitmap. And the bitmap is built up like this. On the bottom here you see all the process mitigations that you can enable. So that's like DEP, CHOP, ASLR that you can enable. And each has a bit. So what you have to do is create a string with all question signs and the number of bits in there where you want to configure a certain mitigation. And then you have this mitigation implemented. Then you have to reboot the system. And after rebooting the system, it is in effect. So in this case, I will enable DEP for execution prevention. I will enable CHOP, and I will enable ASLR. And I will, yes, I will not disable ASLR. That's what it actually says. On my demo system here, I have a cool PDF reader, which is a PDF reader with a bug in it. And one of the things that you can do, and this is really harmless, is this when I open this PDF, it doesn't open a PDF, it will start an executable. In this case, it starts the calculator. This is an exploit. It misuses the fact that something goes wrong if you put something in the PDF that does not belong there, and it jumps to a certain location in memory and starts the calculator for me. So how do I prevent this from happening?
Of course, the idea is not to start the calculator, right?
I started a PDF reader, and I tried to read a PDF, but I started an executable that was...
The rest is up to your imagination.
Yeah. It can be a certain hack. So, if you want to mitigate this, what you can do is you can use group policy to go to system and then mitigation options, and then there is here a feature that says process mitigation options. So when I open this and enable the feature, there's here the value name, and for the value name I enter cool PDF reader.exe, and for the value I enter a bitmap, and that's the bitmap that is shown
in the slide for you before?
In the slide before. So before I reboot, let's start cool PDF reader and have a closer look at it from Process Explorer. This is the special version of Process Explorer. And move to my cool PDF reader.
Check the properties.
Well, first of all, let's show you here at the bottom
Yeah.
something else. Select the column.
ASLR.
ASLR enabled. What you see here is that ASLR is not enabled here, but what you see in this column where it says ASLR is actually if ASLR is enabled by the developer of the software, if it is in the image. What we do with process mitigation is dynamically enable ASLR, and it will never show in this column. And that's by purpose, as I've heard from Mark Kozinovic yesterday. So if you want to know if ASLR is enabled, you have to look at the properties. And in the properties, it will show here that address space layout randomization here has been disabled currently. So now let's reboot the system, which will
not take lots of time.
Not take lots of time, no. And now the group policy that I just created will come into effect. So it should do something to the cool PDF process if I start it. Now my system is restarted. I log on. I move to my cool PDF reader. I start it, and I also start Process Explorer. And Process Explorer will tell me about cool PDF reader, what it currently looks like.
Again.
Well, it's not good. This is not good. What did I do wrong?
You didn't press apply. I noticed that.
I didn't press apply. Let's check.
Yes. I noticed that. I didn't press apply.
You could have told me.
I was trying to.
Let's check. Process mitigation options. Nope.
See?
Yeah, thank you very much, Erdal. So let's do it again.
It was just part of my demo, showing human mistakes will always happen. Double check your work. Don't assume.
Okay, then let's find my bitmap, which is here. Okay.
Press apply.
Well, now it's all in effect.
Good. Restart again, please.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I done it on purpose. I knew exactly, as soon as it's done it. So the idea was, hey, even we, especially in front of I think a few hundred people here, it's easy to do mistakes. All right.
Right.
It's yours.
Little test again. And open cool PDF reader and process explorer. And let's see what the process looks like. And here is the result,
It works.
which says that address space randomization has been force relocate. Currently, you won't see that in your version of Process Explorer. Probably Mark will release a new version which will look like this. So what the real effect of this is actually that the exploit should no longer work. So if I now open this PDF, cool PDF reader will just crash. And there will be no executable started. There is no calculator started. So it will just crash and you can collect the dump, but there is no exploit. There is no vulnerability anymore.
I think you got the idea. Showing you how Windows 10 is helping us to be more secure. 8. Yes. All right. What else? What else have we done? Remember we had its stack and at the end we had cross breach. How can you know if you've been affected or not? Yes, we have device guard. Yes, we have defender. Yes, we have credential guards and many other stuff. But we have also introduced advanced threat protection. What is that? It's a service which is built into your enterprise, which you can detect, investigate, and respond to the threats. Basically, it will look into the system's behavior. It has the cloud power behind it, and of course, Microsoft huge threat intelligence. So, look, I'm now with Microsoft. I want to tell you one thing. Before, I was not a stranger to Microsoft, okay? I was an MVP for 8-9 years, Microsoft Most Valuable Professional. I was presenting these conferences. Like last year, I was an independent expert, but being in Microsoft, I could see how much we actually, now, I'm not speaking as Microsoft, how much Microsoft is taking care of security and investing and spending money and in the technology, and the products that you see is just a nice work out. So the threat intelligence comes, there is like 1 billion Windows devices. The Windows updates, the security essentials, defenders, or the Bing power. We have so many different sensors which is inbuilt in the wild, which collects all this information as a threat intelligence, which helps you to see how secure you are or not. Now, we're gonna do, I think, there's one more cool demo. We don't have to do anything. Okay. But before you go there, so remember he done pass hash demo? Let's see if Defender did detected. So it's built in, as I said. It's cloud powered. It checks the behavior. It looks if there is any breach or not, and it's unique. Let's open the website. I mean, instead of.
So here's actually the website that shows advanced threat protection, and what it does actually, it collects. This is a view on the information that is collected from all the systems that are reporting to advanced threat protection. So what you see here, I'm monitoring 4 machines here, and 2 of the machines are at risk.
And you can see like Mimikatz was run, suspicious process was observed. You can see which PCs were doing that. You can create alert. You can see the machines in a different way. And the good thing is, I don't know if you noticed, it runs in Chrome as well. We're getting better. It's not just Edge or IE that works anymore. So it is another good practice, another good way to see what is happening in your client environment. Again, we are not going to talk too much about it. There is a separate session about APT, Defender APT, which is run by the product group. I highly recommend you to watch it, at least download the slides maybe later to see what has been built.
Okay, but the nice thing of this is that actually the client that I was just using and playing with Mimikatz, it was reporting to ATP at the same time. So what you see here is actually the information about my client that I was playing with Mimikatz like 10 minutes ago. And I can see it here. And I can dig into it and see which user did what and actually see what's happening on that system even more to know if something is really going on there.
You can see even the hashes, what has been done. So it gives you lots of information on what happened. So I think this is really cool for us to be more secure. So this is an investment for the post-breach scenario, which will tell you what happened in the system.
Well, the post-breach scenario, that's actually something new for now, because previously we've always been trying to prevent stuff from happening. We implemented antivirus, we implemented firewalls, we've implemented all sorts of software to prevent the wrong stuff from entering our network. Now we are focusing on new products, and those products are focusing if something entered our network that's not supposed to be there, how do we find out? And how can we trace back to where things went wrong and make sure that we get to the source of what is going wrong in our network?
And remember, I was talking about client-side attacks, why hackers concentrate on client-side. So this is basically a different client-side defense mechanism. So on one side is, the dark side. Sorry, Raymond, that's you. Where, all security, if you've done security certifications, you should have your antivirus, you should have your firewall, you should have your UTM. Another side, it was the end user. And you were hoping that all this, think yourself in a ring, box ring, you were hoping all this products was going to help. Yes, it is helping most of the time, but hackers, they always look for new methods. And one of the biggest mistakes which I see when I go to visit my customers, every hack customer is that when I go before Microsoft as well, they think it's the most sophisticated attack. Oh, we have been hacked with that ultra super duper hacker which is coming from the moon. No, it's the same tactics. And I put, remember I had a slide which was categorizing that. So the tactics are same. We have to think outside the box to be able to go to the next level. And I think Defender is a big investment or nice product which will help you to be more secure as well. Again, another question which I get a lot, which was on the news as well. Does Microsoft watch us? I used to ask this question a lot as well. But you saw it, I can tell you that they only collect, we only collect what we need, what you allow. And on the telemetries that you allow, we care about your privacy, we care about the compliance, and we run on trust. Again, I know this sounds like a marketing jargon, but I want you, if you, for the guys, they know me, I had lots of hands. You know that I will not lie for the sake of making this session happen. There is something really nice happening where Microsoft is caring to build a trust relation between our customers and yourself, and us. And I believe all this is a good investment. So don't believe everything what you read. What else is good there? So we talked about ATA. We didn't talk about ATA, sorry. I'm going to talk about it tomorrow, Advanced Threat Analytics. We have also something similar on the Exchange side, and we have Windows. So this is our one Microsoft vision, to make you more and more secure. Is this all? No. as always, you know, we have to work together. You saw, I mean, seriously, I noticed, Raymond, sometimes you assume you've done it. Sometimes you forget to press a button, and then you blame. It's like when you fight, I mean, when I fight my wife, you know, it's always my fault. The other day, we saw a nice lady. She asked me, she's a nice lady, right? You know what I done? I pretended dead. You know, that's the best thing. If I say yes, I'm in trouble. If I say no, because I'm on the taste with her, I'm in trouble. So I pretended dead. So I was still in trouble. Anyway. Thank you for the tweets. I noticed there are many tweets, so please go ahead and tweet. Everybody who tweets is gonna get something, promise. I hope you enjoyed the session. We have a few more minutes. We're gonna take some questions. If you enjoyed the session, my name is Erdal and Raymond. If not, my name is Mark Persnovich. So please don't forget to evaluate the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please tweet, as I said, follow. Everybody who tweets promises getting something special, no virus, you know. If you have questions, you can use the microphones, or you can come close. Tomorrow we have one more session here, which is about advanced Windows defense, okay? Promise it's gonna be fun, and we're gonna show many other stuff as well. If you don't wanna use the microphones, please come closer. Otherwise, don't forget to have your lunch as well. Enjoy Ignite. Thank you again.